Thank you for the demo. I have a quick question. What happens if you ask the same question again? Is it going to generate exactly the same output like it did?
Yeah, so these models, they are generative models. And how they work is they're producing like token after the token, and it's probabilistic. So one of the parameters that you can set that change this variability of response is the temperature. So the lower the temperature, the more repeatable the answer will be. You could almost set that to 0, and that you would get more consistent response. However, empirically, you can see that the quality also degrades. So it's also good to give a bit of creativity per se, or variability in the large language model.
All right, thanks.
I think there was a question here. Yeah, you.
My question was, how accessible then are these models available for people who are looking to develop their own AIs? And are the other collections some way, even though they're all encrypted, are you able to sort of encompass them into sort of like grander, bigger models?
All right, so yeah, to answer your first question, that all these tools that I've showed, they are free, they are open source. So, and like they actually can show like the exact name. Sorry? Oh, how you don't download the model here? Yeah, in the Uber, for example, you can select. So, for example, the one that we are using is the Block Zephyr 7 billion beta. There are a couple of others here. Most of them are like in Hugging Face, so it's pretty much available. And what was your second question? Is how do you had another question? Sorry, did I answer your first question?
You did. Yeah, you covered it. Yeah, and literally how accessible, so they're completely accessible in terms of their open source. Do we have to provide the computing power, or is that all on a back end? And is there any sort of what the costings for that?
So all those 4 services that I just ran here, I spun up, they're running that little machine there.
Yeah,
it's right there. Like there is no kind of like cloud. That's kind of like the cloud, really, like the wedge that you refer to. Yeah, someone here.
So as ARBI.CITY, did you build this tool for like lawyers, solicitors to assist them in their casework, so they can upload documents in a secure environment and help them work on cases much faster?
Yes, that's the idea. Certainly, we are aiming to target the legal market. That's the market that I know. I was a partner in a firm for 12 years and here in the city, and so that's the target market that I know. I mean, the tool at this point is more generic, but of course we will be adapting it to different requirements as they come.
One follow-up question. Which other sectors or industries do you think a white box like this would be like good suited for, other than the legal sector, like that you could identify, if that's okay to share?
So actually a lot. I was just talking to somebody today who was interested in it for fintech applications, and anytime you need really to where your data can't leave your premises, right? So we're saying we bring AI to your data rather than you sending your data to the AI. So so that could be any context, from kind of government use of confidential materials to lawyers to finance to you on your computer saying, look, I don't want my data to be going in the cloud. I just want I don't want to upload my emails somewhere. I would rather just have a search through my emails locally here.
Thank you, by the way. This is really great. How do you think this is going to affect employment of lawyers?
think there are a few lawyers in the room, but not that many. I think it will affect the quality of the work, and it will improve the quality of the work. I actually don't think that it will make less legal work, because let's say you're a lawyer, previously you found one relevant document, this is going to help you find 10 relevant documents. You could potentially spend 10 times more time, writing about those. Maybe LLM is going to help you with some drafting, but in the end of the day, you're not necessarily spending less time, but you're ending up with a much better product. So for us, it's not so much about saying, as I started out in the beginning saying, it's not about just 10xing your productivity. And no law firm, if we go to them and say, we're going to 10x your productivity, most law firms are going to say, well, that means I have to fire 90% of my lawyers, and I'm not going to make any money. So because we bill by the hour. So it doesn't work as a use case. So we focus not on time savings or cost savings, but in leaving no stone unturned and giving you the most powerful tools to win your case if you're a disputes lawyer.
Thank you.
Just coming back to the companies who you work with, does it mean for each company you need one white box, or is that just run centrally, especially for smaller firms? And my understanding is the open source code is open source code is essentially for free, but you can only use it in combination with the white box, right?
No, actually, first of all, you can use it other ways. You can run it on any, you've got GPUs that can handle it. Absolutely, you can run it on those GPUs. Open source doesn't mean free, by the way. Just throwing that out there. Open source, you can still charge for open source software, and you can still, and certainly we plan to offer all kinds of services around the customizations, and we know our code base, and hopefully we can add value. But we are building on top of an open source stack, and I think the what was your other question? Sorry.
Whether each company then needs a white box
to
run
yes.
it properly, or
So we generally would think yes, each company would want either a white box, either for a long term or temporarily. Maybe they decide to buy their own GPUs later, but maybe they want this for a month or 2 months, and that's what we do. We typically don't sell these, at least for now. We plan to rent them out on a monthly basis, so you can try them out, see if you like them, see if they're working for you, and then we lease them as a package. So that is the current model. Obviously, we might expand to offer cloud-based APIs, or we offer it on our platform for a premium subscription. But that doesn't distinguish us from everyone else, to the extent that we have cost advantages or domain-specific advantages. We might, but you can find 1,000 cloud-hosted API service providers if that's what you want.
Thank you.
Thanks for the talk. Yeah, so my question's around, I don't know if you know anything about sort of trusted execution environments, so TEEs, like AWS have like AWS Nitro, and these environments where you run your code, but not even the cloud provider can actually access the underlying thing that's running inside the virtual machine. Even the hypervisor is not even accessible. So I was wondering, how does your product, which from my understanding is a product where the customer sort of runs, the data doesn't get shared to the cloud provider, the data kind of sits inside this white box that you have that you sell. How do you distinguish your product from, let's say, trusted execution environments where these are actually on big cloud providers like AWS and so on? If that makes sense.
I'm not an expert on AWS. We have an expert here sitting next to me, so I can't answer that question. What I do know is that we're very interested in trusted execution environments, and for those who don't know, so there is encryption in transit, encryption at rest, but then trusted execution environment is really encryption during use. And that's what you're talking about. So you're talking about encrypting memory. You're talking about isolating the processes from the host so that the host doesn't see them. And there are a number of algorithms, CV and various other, Intel and AMD have their own different execution environments. And we are looking into it. For example, there's something called kata containers and confidential containers, which allows you to run those in in a Kubernetes environment seamlessly. What I have found personally is that it's not quite ready for prime time with respect to GPUs. NVIDIA is working hard on it. Microsoft's working hard on it. I'm sure others are working hard on it. So they're making advances every day. But as far as and there's a project out of Berkeley. They have a team working on it. I think it's coming along, but we're not quite there yet in terms of us experimenting with it, and I think the product isn't quite there yet. But I think it will be. I think give it a year or two, we will see that being more available. And of course, we'd love to use it if it comes to fruition. Kata is open source, and all these projects are going to be open sourced, I believe.
Okay, thanks.
Linklaters had a little study. They didn't publish their methodology, but it was interesting. It came out after GPT-4 had some new press about it passing the bar exam. They ran a lot of questions against UK law, GPT-4 this is, and it was appalling, right? Just nowhere, but the obvious implication being that GPT-4 has got bar exam questions in its training set. When you think about using small models in particular in the legal industry in the UK, for example, or Europe, how important do you think fine tuning is actually going to be? Because it strikes me that it is going to be important. We need to embed knowledge of the specifics of UK law into models, perhaps with continuous pre-training as well, and then building expert models on top of that.
Thank you. It's a very interesting question. Personally, I don't think the fine tuning is the way to go here. I think retrieval augmented generation is the way to go, because you don't necessarily want to bake in something into your model in a statistical probabilistic way. You want some very concrete case citations. You don't want to take the average of 5 cases and get a citation. Even if it's UK law based, you still want the actual case and you still want the actual correct citation. So fine tuning, I think, won't get you there all the way. Plus the law changes. So one difference between medicine and law, for example, medicine, you can have symptoms that, you can diagnose all over the world. They're going to be the same. With law, you've got, 100 different legal systems. They all change. There's always different applicable law, different applicable facts. So if you're going to fine tune, you're going to have to fine tune 1,000 different models in 1,000 different jurisdictions. And maybe that's going to happen, but I don't see it happening anytime soon in any reliable way. So, but RAG, retrieval augmented generation, best solution because you can actually refer to actual cases. You can actually say, this is the applicable law. These are the statutes, and it'll bring it back to you with citations that, as a lawyer, you will always want to verify anyway. You're not going to just rely on some LLM telling you, oh, this is the law. You have to be able to drill down and explain to the judge or to the client exactly what document you are citing when you say that. So thank you very much. And I will turn it now over to Heiko.